back to Living Out Loud with Laura. On this episode, I am super excited because we yet again get to talk to a political candidate here in Florida. And this time, we're talking to Yonce. And I'm super excited to have him here with us today. Welcome, 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 Eric. Will you please
Thank you.
tell our listeners a little bit about yourself?
Well, yes, my name is Eric Yonce. I grew up here in Central Florida, so up in Ocala. I'm actually just north in Citra. Been in Florida my entire life, so I truly love it. A little bit about me. Besides that, I spent my life in retail management. So I started when I was 18. I started as a cart attendant with Target.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, during that time, I was also I was going to school and going to police academy. So originally I wanted to go into the law enforcement background, follow my father, who was a law enforcement officer his entire life. And I didn't pass. So it was like a weird thing, and I failed one part of it. And I'm like, okay, and opportunities came up with Target, and I continued that career. So I stayed with retail for 22 years.
That's amazing to live
Um,
22 years in retail. That's like a crazy environment.
oh, well, Target, Toys R Us, and then Dick's Sporting Goods. And Toys R Us there was about 7 years, 8 years, and that's a wild time in retail, that's for sure. Um, like a toy store in the middle of the holiday season is absolutely insane.
I could not
Absolutely.
imagine like that. Like that should be in its entire like movie or sitcom. Just the like Thanksgiving to Christmas in a toy store.
It's it's wild, and it's every like you see all aspects of it, like especially people. Everything changes when you're looking for a certain toy, and it's December 15th, and you have to get this toy. Like you're going through walls or whoever's in front of you to try to find it, and it's frustrating. I don't know. I there's been some interesting stories from that time that definitely I could go into, but it shaped me. I mean, my
That's what I was
time
going
in
to say. That
retail
helped
truly,
shape you.
oh my gosh, like I probably did not give it enough credit while I was in it because I was just so focused on this is my career and I'm trying to work through it. I ended up being able to start running stores, so I ended up being a store manager for Toys R Us and Dick's Sporting Goods through my kind of career progression. Um, but it shows you a lot. Like being in that environment, one, you're dealing with customers coming in each day. Who knows what's going on in their lives as they're coming
Right.
into the store. And sometimes it's great, and sometimes like you just don't know they're having a bad day, and you're the person that ends up it gets taken out on. Um, we've all been there.
Yeah, we all have. I think we've
But
all been guilty of probably spreading our frustration on somebody that it wasn't meant to be spread to.
yeah, I mean it happens. But like you're also trying to build teams, and
Right.
you're trying to build this unit of people to have a common goal to work for a corporation that's not that they really don't have a part of, but hey, like let's provide customer service, let's go
And
through these things,
and let's
so
talk
that
about
way we
a
can,
melting pot of people because when you're running a store, it's not just one demographic, you have all sorts of demographics because you have people from, loading to assistant managers to and everything in between, cashiers, and you have everybody coming from different walks of life, different ages. You have high school students to people that are, close to retirement or were supplementing their income after retirement. So like you have
yeah,
the whole mix to be able to get the perspective and try to bring all those people together for a common good, to get everybody to
yes.
understand no matter where we are in our life, we have one common good and this is what it is. And to be able to unite people like that, that takes a talent.
It's I mean, trust me, I had to grow through that process. I mean, as starting out in my early 20s and then working through, I left there about 2 years ago. Um, I mean, it shaped definitely who I was, and you learn you got to get rid of your ego. That's for damn sure. Like that's a huge part. And understand that you're really trying to create like a family community environment within your store.
Mm-hmm.
And each person that you're interacting with is completely different, from the high school kid that this is their first job,
Mm-hmm.
or someone out of college that has never had a job before, but they have a degree and now trying to work through that dynamic, or the retiree that is
Yep.
trying to supplement some type of income and that can only work a certain amount of time each week or each
Mm-hmm.
month. It's a balance. And
Yep.
when you get it working right, it's great. It's a really great environment. You could tell when you go into stores as a shopper or as a customer, you have a feel like, okay, this is a team that's actually working to help.
Yeah.
Um, Kind of lost sometimes going into stores now, but it's definitely, I don't know, it was a great experience, and I'm fortunate that I had that in my life.
So now,
So
did that lead you, just out of curiosity, and I know I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but was
yeah,
it during your retail experience that made you feel like, maybe taking a government position, is that what caused you to want to throw your hat in, or was it something privately that happened that kind of shaped that decision, just out of curiosity?
I've always like going back to being like going through the police academy. Like there's
Mm-hmm.
always been this part of me that's wanting to be in public service, wanting to give back.
Mm-hmm.
I've always had in my head that I'd go back into the police academy. Even leaving retail, I was like, okay, maybe that's what I do.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I think it was seeing those and like working through that throughout my life. But even just seeing now the state of where our government and where their lack of representation has evolved to has really propelled this. And then the icing or the cherry on top was Randy Fine actually winning the election, the special election last year, and just knowing that person has zero connection to this part of Florida, like at a base minimum, just zero connection here, and was just thrown into this district because we've been as a whole district just divided,
Yes.
purposely divided for so long that no one is paying attention to who they're electing. They're just voting for an R beside their name. And
Yes.
it's
Yes.
unfortunate because now we
Yes.
have this person that is one of the most vital human beings around.
I'm not sure if you're
And
aware of this. I'm not sure, but I have a personal vendetta, I guess, to say, against Randy Fine, because that individual, you see, and I'm being kind, calling him an individual. Um, I am a proud trans supporter. I have a trans adult daughter, and I'm a trans advocate in Central Florida. We're all over Florida, but I try to stay in Central Florida. That's big enough for everybody to deal with. And that little individual took images of me with one of my friends that's another trans advocate and said that we are proud train advocates to mock us. That's how childish this individual is. And I want to point that out. He literally took time to make images to mock his own constituents.
he's a child. He's absolutely a child. And it, but the sad thing is, like, that's where we've gone to in society, that some people will look at that and be like, that's okay. Like,
Yeah.
where did we go? That we're allowing that behavior. We're platforming that behavior by putting this type of person in this position.
And Randy Fine, not for nothing. You see, I can tell you all sorts of things about him. He is out there trying to promote the SAVE Act like it is his, he was born to do this. Well, he himself has been reprimanded for voting illegally, basically voting for people that were not there during sessions. So
Yeah,
he
there's
doesn't
video
vote
of it.
correctly, but he wants to pass sweeping voter legislation, which is basically meant to be a voter intimidation or voter suppression type bill. But his own actions and his words don't match. And I'm glad that you brought that up. Like, we've gotten to this point where I feel that people are listening to people's mouths and then not doing any further research. So if, in other words, so if Randy finds that I never did that, They're like, okay, he said he never did it. We're good.
All good.
That's what I mean. Like, they're not probing further to say, well, did he do it? And when they actually do see evidence, they're being asked not to believe their eyes, and somehow they're not believing their eyes. It's crazy.
Well, I think a problem with that is we're not necessarily, or some of the individuals that have supported him aren't doing the research, aren't
Yeah.
trying to look for this information at all. And they're not being given it either.
Yeah.
And so I see that as like when we talk about, and we may be jumping ahead here, but when we talk about winning this election, that right there is how you're going to have to do it. Yes, we could argue with Randy Fine all day, but he's a stubborn, egotistical person, right? Like that's not what we're going to have to do. What we need to make sure is, hey, he talked about bombing children. Does this align with your values? Like
And
you want
that
to talk about values and morals, like I will give you everything he's done. Like do these align with you? And that question is what at least sparks somebody to be like, damn, okay.
So, you know what? We are going to go there. And because I definitely want to get into that
Yeah.
because I really have a huge feeling about the whole RD thing. And especially in Florida, how, like, when you're a registered independent, you can't vote in primaries, like, and how all that is designed as well. However, let's go back a little bit because I jumped ahead. So I'm going to U turn us a little bit, go back around that circle. And you were telling us a little bit about yourself, which is great. And let's
Yeah.
take that and lead us over into what is your platform and who you are. Is your moral compass based upon that? Like, where are you in your platform, so to speak?
Okay. Well, I'll talk like my main platform I've been running on, three key things. So one is getting the money out of our political system.
Yes.
I find that as the root of all evil right now. I say we just as a general, but talking about any big reform we want to make, whether it's
Mm-hmm.
healthcare, tax reform, early childhood education, anything, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not going to be able to make progress on that when there's lobbyists and there's corporate money and foreign PAC money inside the pockets of our current politicians that they
And
could trade stock on a regular basis
and to
and
frame
and
that
manipulate.
for the average person on here, what Eric is saying is that with dark money or lobbyist money or all these other things, you have a corporation, right, who is getting to have, like, let's say 100 votes on something, whereas you, as your person who is supposed to have one vote, one voice, all that good stuff, your voice is being less heard because these corporations are being provided more funding ability. Because let's face it, a corporation can give a lot more than the $5 I can. So when we're
Mhm.
allowing, and this is what has happened, we used to allow only people to give something and corporations to give so much, and you couldn't give hundreds of thousands of dollars to a political campaign and then have that money be used to literally create false narratives about either the person, or the money's being used nefariously is what I'm trying to say.
Well, like let's even think of it within the state of Florida, right? One of our biggest issues here in the state is insurance.
Yes. Oh, yes.
So whether it's homeowners insurance, auto insurance, like you name it, insurance is a problem. The number one contributor to Ron DeSantis is the insurance industry. So, like he talks about trying to make housing more affordable. We could make tax or insurance reform happen here in the state. They refuse to take it up because that's the number one donor to a lot of these individuals within our state government is the insurance industry. So like we can see these things happen. I think more and more people are, especially here when you start going even go locally, go to a county or city. We talk about development right now,
Oh,
overdevelopment.
yes.
Developers have their hands in the pockets of a lot of our city and county council members.
And it's
So
something very
it
interesting. A person, sorry, just went to a
yeah,
town hall here in Florida and asked them a question. if any of them have signed any NDAs with any of these companies, and they refuse to answer. So they're refusing to answer if they signed an NDA with an insurance company.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just had to put that out there because, like,
No. Well, that's the key that we all like. We have to start breaking this down into more local, like it's hard to see or hard to fathom sometimes the amount of money or amount of corporate influence. But when you take it more locally and things that we're seeing on a day to day when it comes to development, our water, things here that may not necessarily be affected from a national like position like a member
mm-hmm,
of the US House of Representatives, but at our local thing, it's still the same. Like
right.
money in our politics still works the same way.
Well,
And
and it
that's
does because we just renamed, not we, Ron DeSantis, who has nothing more in life right now than to try to beg to get a place on Trump's cabinet. And that's all he's trying to do. So he's trying to win
yeah.
that. So I believe we just spent $5 million of taxpayers' name renaming an airport after a person that's still alive, for one, which is bizarre. But $5 million of our money did not go to infrastructure, not repairing our roads, not making our drinking water safe, not insurance, not things that were for everyday residents that are paying their money into these things. It went to rename that airport after that individual. And then also, our money has gone to allocate alligator Alcatraz. So all those millions of dollars that were spent on that, and this is what Eric is talking about when you have the legislatures that are in the hands of the people that are asking for these projects, they're giving, let's say, Randy Fine millions of dollars to say, like, hey, you don't care if you take your golf courses and your protected land and make them golf courses. We need more golf courses in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, these are
And
all actual Florida
that's
things.
where, well, it all ties back to that because we need to think locally sometimes when we think of examples like this. And it's impacted us for so long. I mean, unfortunately, now we're like a developer state. I mean, we've been for quite some
Yeah.
while, but now it's even worse. And we're just sold out to the biggest owner. That's
And
the thing.
it used to be that Florida's cost of living was low. So when you look at our wages being low, it kind of washed it out. But
But
the
we
average
have,
house now is like what, over $300,000 in the state of Florida, which is crazy. And even that, I mean, honestly, it's closer to $400,000 or $500,000 for the average house. I mean, I live in Tavares, so I live in a lesser income. Like, we literally came here. One of the reasons is it was $100,000 less for a house in Tavares than it was for a house over by Disney. It's the same house, but
yeah.
we had to do that to try to get away to make it affordable once my disability ended up taking away one of our incomes. So what's happening is we're allowing developers to come in, and I just want to explain. So when I went to buy a house, they'd be like, well, is it all cash? $322,000. I'm a nurse. My husband works for the mouse. No, it's not all cash. Where was I supposed to get all cash? Like, trying to get the 20% down is a nightmare. But when you
Yeah.
are literally going head to toe with corporations that are trying to buy the house and they can give all cash, homeowners get wiped out
You
of that
can't compete.
market. And then the corporations get to set the rent prices. Like, I want to make sure people understand how all that works together. Like, that's all tied in like that. It's lacing your fingers.
Mhm.
And all that goes
And then
back
you take,
to who you're voting for.
it does. It totally does. I mean, you break down, this is going to be a tangent, but the average income for our district is $63,000.
Okay.
And that's the average household.
Yes.
So say if that's not just one person, that's then you're taking 63,000 to two to maybe three, four, hopefully not
Yes.
even more. Like, and then your average house I know average rents now are anywhere from, even up in Putnam County, they're starting to get 15 to 16, $1,700 a month for just a small one bedroom.
Yep.
I know in the county it's getting closer to $2,000 a month. That's almost your entire paycheck. Not
And
to mention
then,
your phone bill, your car, fuel, food, childcare. Like,
oh,
how do
childcare.
we live?
My daughter and son-in-law, very grateful to say that my grandson is doing so well that he was able to go to daycare. Super excited about that, which meant my daughter is doing well enough also to be working to where her health is good, his health is good. So those are all pluses. But my son-in-law works for Lockheed Martin, and my daughter is an RN and works making RN money. And they walk away from that going, holy crap, how are people supposed to afford this? Like $200 a month, $200 a week to $300 a week is the average price for daycare for one child.
How?
So when you take that, now you just have a $2,000 rent and you just put $1,000 of daycare on there. That's $3,000. We haven't even fed anybody yet. And we
No,
haven't talked about health insurance.
no insurance, not even traveling anywhere either.
No. But
No.
all those things are an effect of our voting and or our non-voting. And that's another thing, Eric, that's very important because we've gotten to the point where yes, people will, and I know for a fact because I've had family members I love to death say to me, Laura, I'm too old to change, which hurts my heart a bit, but you know I'm trying not to have physical tics related to it here. However, worse than that, worse than people that are just going in and voting because there's an R or a D next to the name, we have people that just aren't voting at all. So people that are choosing to stay home and not vote. So we get into these situations where it's normally the hardcore, let's say fanatics, because I'll say it too, people are that are highly interested in politics, that are voting in primaries, voting in local elections, right? Even voting in the presidential elections. So it's not necessarily the bad candidates, and that's another thing that's very important to understand. The bad candidates that we get to vote for in our elections come from primaries. So when you have the ability to vote in a primary, you get to go listen to the people's platform, like we're going to talk about some more with Eric. And then you get to see, you go, but you listen to their words. This is important. You listen to their words, trust, but verify. So you listen to the words and then you go, I am going to go on their website and I'm going to pull
Mhm.
it up and I'm going to read. This is what he said. Is this what it says here? Oh, it doesn't. Well, why would he say one thing and say this? Well, it seems if it's written in stone, that's probably where he actually believes, right? Yeah. I would say that because you can point to it really easy.
Yeah, I think, and they go with that here in this most of Florida. One, for some parties, we haven't had primaries
Mm-mm.
for a very long time.
Yep.
Um, Also, incumbents don't come around very often
No.
because they know there's not necessarily a primary opportunity. So it becomes very generic messaging. If you go on somebody's website, it's usually like platitude after platitude after platitude, but no real concrete thing at all that they want to even talk about or even just
Mm-hmm.
give a thought about. It's, I'm gonna like reduce taxes for you. Like, how are you gonna do that? What are you gonna do?
Yay!
So like that's been the problem we're at. And I see this now being a candidate and running in this primary. I don't, and it's no fault to anyone. It's just no one knows how to act right now. No one knows what to do in a primary where you have four Democrat candidates running. And it's just like, all right, we'll just see kind of what happens. But they're not even used to having to get engaged to like come out and door knock or like to volunteer with a candidate or anything
Mm-hmm.
like that. Like that, and like we have to show and explain. It's almost like this is building technically from the ground up.
Yes.
Um, but it's all new for everybody.
It's
And I think
definitely
now we're,
grassroots campaigning. I mean, 100%. It is grassroots.
Mhm. Well,
And
that's what
talk,
like so far, like it's tough. Like nobody, you don't have, and this is maybe good or bad. I look at it as a positive, and we'll go here a little bit. But like with the party not stepping into this race,
mhm.
so the actual state and national party thinks that this district is completely unwinnable. So therefore, there's no like they have to step in. I've been in this
So that
campaign. I'm
also
sure I
means
could
they're not
talk to
giving them
you.
money. I want to make sure people understand that. That means they're not doling out money. Okay.
No, this is all sole like grassroots individual donors. That's been the key. Um, but like it's great because it allows us to run this primary and to build this like momentum. And I think it's great because all four candidates are trying to get their own base.
Mm-hmm.
And we're all like out there working different things. Yeah, we're going to be at the same events back and forth, but we're also doing separate things. And come August, this is going to be a whole wave of people that's going to come vote and
Yes.
then move
Yeah.
toward that one candidate through November. Like you want to talk about how this, like where you are going to flip it. And that's where I laugh when no one thinks like we're going to be able to do it because it's going to happen. Like you're going to have a whole mass of people come after August 18th, get behind one person and move that completely forward where Randy Fine is not doing a single thing in the district.
Well, that's what I was going to
So
ask
it's
is have you guys agreed, just out of curiosity, because I don't, know, I've met several of the candidates, but like, is there an
yeah,
agreement amongst everybody? Like, no matter who wins, we're all going to get behind that one because that's how important it is just to get this damn
yeah,
football down the field.
yeah. That's been like since day one. I mean, the two, like Ronnie and I have been the two candidates from the
Yes.
beginning, and then others have jumped in, and that's been, I mean, minus one person that kind of jumped in that didn't come from the area, but
Yeah.
um, we'll talk about that any further. But like we've been in this piece of like we're going to move this forward after this primary, whoever the candidate is that moves, and I think that's where the amazing piece of this comes from is that at the end of the day, we're all pretty much in alignment with different things. There may be different tweaks here and there, but um, the main goal is to flip this and to not have Randy Fine be our representative.
And I love that. And since there are little things that separate you, let's talk about what separates you from the rest because that's what's important. Let's talk about
Yeah,
you.
yeah, totally. So I didn't finish. You want me to go back to the platform,
Yes.
or do you? Let's
I'm done.
let's
We
finish
will
that.
we segue all over the place. I'm very sorry.
So the second piece of my platform is bringing money back home, infrastructure. Um, we it goes back to donor base. If you look where infrastructure money gets spent or prioritized, it is normally towards the projects or towards the individuals that then donated at some point in time. Not all the time, but that happens.
Mm-hmm.
And we have now areas within our own district, our communities that are starting to really fall apart. So you have like the weight of overdevelopment, which is a huge thing that's crushing a lot of places, and some won't even admit it. You have just aging infrastructure altogether because we have leaders that have forgotten different things, and you also have areas that don't have money
Yep.
to afford to fix these things. Now you put this whole tax income or property tax thing that the state could potentially vote on. And you impact these local communities even further with not having enough money and resources.
Mm-hmm.
Where do we go with our infrastructure in the next year, two, three? I mean, I just read like Marion County is supposed to have, I think, $50 million shortfall if this property tax thing goes into place. Like, how do you make up $50 million and then, oh, we have an emergency and we need stormwater systems?
And we have a
Like,
problem with that because currently, I just want to point out states who have gone through emergency situations, their states are being denied federal assistance. So what happens, like you're saying, if we don't have that infrastructure there, we don't have the money for the infrastructure. If we were to ask the federal government, let's say our governor, let's say right now we have Ron DeSantis, but we all know he's leaving. And let's say we do a great job and we flip our state to blue, let's say, and John Lee gets elected. There could then be the fact that the administration might decide, if a hurricane came through here and we asked for money, that they could just say no, because they just did that again.
Yeah. I mean, they're weaponizing things.
That's what when did infrastructure become something that should be politically divided upon? I just don't understand. Infrastructure affects every single person. It's our electric, it's our water, it's our roadways, it's our public transportation system. And if you have millions of dollars sitting in the thing and you're like, well, the public transportation system doesn't affect me, it does. That's how all your staff is getting to you.
It does.
That's what makes the lights longer. That all of this is all put together. And go ahead.
Well, I just, there's also another piece of this. It's, all right, do we then go down the path of privatizing everything? And so then what does that look like? Because you have to think, these municipalities are going to have to get money from somewhere. So every park you go to, you'll have a fee.
Mm-hmm.
You want to park somewhere? I mean, we're already seeing, I live here in Ormond Beach, and like free parking along the beach that used to be all along A1A, gone. Now you get hit with a $60 ticket if you don't pay to park, which is like $20 for the day.
To go to a free beach.
Like, to go to a free beach, or was free. Like, everything is going to start being privatized to where then it's to make money and to be more capitalistic. And I hate to get on this like piece of it, but that's where we're going. Whenever you take away public money from things, it then has to go private at some point to sustain.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just how I see this kind of evolving. But I don't know. Like, I struggle to see how some of our communities last in the next 5 to 10 years, especially along the coast, when we want to ignore science, right? We don't talk about climate change. So therefore, we're not going to talk about sea level rise. So then we can't have a real look at why some of our communities are flooding over and over again. Like, it's tough.
I have to tell you, I live in Lake County. And if a lot of people don't know, let me explain the geography of Florida. A lot of people think that Florida is completely flat. And for the most part, Florida is very, very, very flat. However, apparently during the continental shift or the continental divide or whatever you want to call that, when the plates hit each other, it mooshed part of Florida up. And there's a ridge in Florida, literally called the Ridge, which is Lake County, Claremont, Mount Dora, Tavares. We sit on the ridge. Mm-hmm. So we're actually elevated. Like, we actually have rolling hills. Like, it's pretty cool to see that, right? But the reason I bring that up is Mount Dora over on Donnelly has been flooded. Mount Dora, who's so much of Mount Dora's revenue relies on tourism. It's a little bedroom community, but so much of their income comes from tourism. And when that one road is washed out and people can't get there, that's infrastructure.
Yeah. Oh, and you know what happened with that, right? So crazy rainstorm, right? Once in a whatever they want to call it, that happened. I think it was like crazy, like 16 inches or something.
Yeah, it was insane.
But I will say, and I've had conversations with some people with this, you want to say, and this is where I say you don't accept that sometimes overdevelopment is an issue. That area used to be just orange groves.
Yes.
Complete just orange groves. Now it's completely developed, paved over. Housing, businesses, shopping, whatever it may be, is all there. And yes, all that water then rushed in and washed that road away last year.
Mm-hmm.
They did not declare a national emergency. So therefore, the city cannot then obtain emergency money from FEMA. And they're having to work through this whole rigmarole of like trying to obtain money, yet they need to get the road fixed. So they had to pay for the road themselves and take out bonds and loans to pay for this road rebuild where it should have been declared a national, like an emergency.
Yes.
And you had Randy Fine there the day after it happened saying he's going to do everything he can to help, and yet did nothing.
Crickets.
Crickets. Used it as a platform to provide more division, talking about Democrats, because this was during the shutdown last
Yeah.
year, and to like spew more hate rather than saying, making sure that we're going to get the money to fix this and
And
rebuild.
the funniest thing about that is Lake County is considered a Republican county. And that's what people need to understand. If you're thinking, oh, it's only the blue areas that are not going to get it, which, by the way, this drives me insane. I don't understand where this red and blue crap came from. It literally drives me nuts. I thought we were all united, but what do I know? I'd like us all to be purple. Can we all just get along? But I can't get along with hateful people. So therefore, no. That's kind of the thing. I'm not saying that anyway. Sorry. But people think, oh, well, if I'm in a red county or if I'm in a blue county or if I'm in a red state or if I'm in a blue state, I'm protected or whatever. Lake County is considered very red, right? That's why they're saying that nobody's dumping money into it because they don't think it's winnable because they're saying it's considered very red. But here we have in a very red county, in a very red state where we have red representatives, we are still forcing the people, whether they voted red, blue, or independent, to fund things that should have been considered an emergency that we were told by our representatives that they were going to fight for. And then after they got on the news and you heard them, trust but verify, did anything happen? And that's a no, because there's loans taken out basically to get this stuff fixed.
Like the city's having to work now to try to get repayment, but they can't wait. You can't wait 2 to 3, 4 years.
No, because you have, once again, it's very easy. Small towns die very easy when you can't get traffic to them. It is well known. Anytime you divert traffic, you are going to lose a city. It just is what it is. So you already have a city that relies on tourism. And the one major road that people come in and out of constantly, and that is the main road that people come in and out of, is not working. And it's not just working for the tourists, but then you also have people that live in Mount Dora, live in us over here in Tavares, that are going into Orlando, that are going into Orange County, Seminole County to work. And now their trips to work are getting longer because they have to go all the way around. So that's gas mileage going up, wear and tear on your car going up. All these things do affect everybody in the county. And that's what it's important to understand. Those poor businesses that are right there.
Yep. Nothing
it's
for
health
them.
Insurance. Health insurance. Nobody can afford anything in the state of Florida. I can't, I mean, I know myself, I went from being the supervisor. I was director of nursing for some assisted livings. Then I went to case management. I wanted a different feel. And then I went from workers' comp case management to Medicare case management to Medicaid case management, eventually to the supervisor of utilization management for Sunshine Health Plan in Florida. I went from there. I was working very hard, has been a nurse since 1997. And it took me going out sick on June 9th of 2023 to lose my job. I lost my health insurance for a while. I wasn't able to get treatment. Everything got turned upside down. And it was a matter of me going out thinking I had all my benefits right there set to me. I paid my money. I thought I was going to be able to get these benefits for myself. And no, they denied them, then canceled my insurance, retro fired me, which is even more bizarre. They retro
Oh,
fired me so that it screwed up my Cobra. So I couldn't get Cobra. But at that time, everything was fine. There was no way I would have known that I would have had to get an attorney and sue the long-term disability company that I privately paid into for 10 years. It has cost me almost $30,000 to win what I paid into with the same medical documents that I had when they denied it. And
that's
what did
like
I do for a living? I was utilization management and they still denied me. That's what's so infuriating. Like, I'm saying that because I want people to understand, even people that understand the system. Like, I understand the system and I still got screwed by the system.
this. The system's not there to benefit us usually. Like any how do I word this? It's like a corporation knows that they have unlimited money and resources, so they can stretch or play with the rules of how they're going to treat you or anybody else, knowing that, okay, if you want to fight back, you're going to have to pay tens of thousands of dollars to an attorney and
Yep.
go through this entire process. And we're just sitting back, and that's nothing to us being the corporations. Like, they know
And
that they could do that to you.
yeah, hold on. In Congress, I found this out by my attorney. So this is fun. This is why it matters who you vote for in Congress. This is so important. So it is Congress that has decided that if that happens, say the insurance company was wrong and denied me falsely, right? After I won on appeal, they don't have to pay me back my money I spent. I spent $30,000 for this attorney to win. I lost my money, even though they did everything very poorly and
Mhm.
wrong. And I had all my documentation. Even with that, Congress has voted to give the power to the companies, not to the people. So even though I'm the one spending all the money and I was right because I'd already spent the money, I'm just
I mean,
spending more money
that
to live and get my
that
money that
goes
I
back
paid for.
yeah, that goes back to what we are talking about the first thing of like the corporate influence, and you don't have a voice. Like, that's legislation is being passed to benefit corporations over the people.
Yes.
And that's a clear example of it right there. It's like you have no voice in any of this. Okay,
No.
you want to fight it back? There's an avenue for you to, if you have the ability to fight back. There's an avenue, and we're going to be totally wrong, but we're not going to pay you for that. Like, we're
Exactly.
not going to help.
So they knowingly can deny you falsely. They can knowingly deny you falsely, and there is no repercussion at all
They're
for it.
protected.
There's no back pay. There's no, I mean, I had to get my back pay, don't get me wrong, but they didn't have to pay me for pain and suffering for going months. Like, it took me 9 months before I got a paycheck again. And what they were trying to do was force me back to work when I couldn't work. My doctor was writing convulsions up into including death, and they thought I should be able to work. Death. I literally
Wow.
said to them on the phone, so if I die, what are you going to do? Just pay my husband out the life insurance? Like, I kind of want to stay alive. And they're like, well, it was like crazy. So that's what people don't understand. And I didn't understand it before. And that's why it's so important for us to educate people. And that's why it is so important for us to elect people that are of the people and not career politicians. Because people like
Yeah.
Eric, who worked in retail, who went through the police academy. His father was in law enforcement here. He has that upbringing that understood public service, understood putting your life on the line for someone else. His father did that day in and day out. quite
Mhm.
honestly, working in retail is about putting your life on the line every single day, especially during the holiday season. Let's be honest. But doing that, building the community, building bridges across all sorts of demographics is what's so important. And that is what we're
Yeah,
needing. We're needing authentic representation.
that's key.
So,
That's
Eric,
it.
I'm going to give you 2 or 3 minutes here. Go ahead and just tell our listeners and viewers why going into the primaries, why should they cast the vote for you?
Well, I appreciate it. And I think the key is what you just said. The only candidate in this race on either side of the ticket that grew up here, that has lived in rural communities within our district and has gone through life here. Like just it's an interesting place, and it's like I said earlier, of watching the vision happen and watching this kind of morph. Like when I growing up in Citra and being in Ocala, like it was never this. As a child, it was never this divided area.
No.
It was like it was no like you could walk around town and you talk to different people, and it was a much different community to where now there's this political divide that is very clear and there, and it doesn't need to be anymore. And I think this is going to take someone that has lived here and that has watched it transform all this time. Just even a quick understanding of people have changed their voter registration in Florida so that they could have a voice. They
Yep.
would change from being a Democrat I did it, to be a Republican, to say, I need to be able to vote in something. I had a
Mm-hmm.
lady come up to me the other day recently. I forget where I was in Lake County somewhere at an event. She's like, I'm changing my registration to Republican so I can vote against Randy Fine in the primary for you. And I was like, no, please, we don't do that. Like you have people to vote for in the
Yeah.
primary for once. And
Yes.
that's you have to have, and that's where I come in with this understanding of what this part of Florida has gone through my time in retail, through just growing up and just seeing it on a day in and day out basis. I mean, it's sad. It really it's frustrating to hear from people that have lost connection with family members, have lost connections to friends. I've lost connections with
Yep.
friends because it has gone to one side or the other.
It has.
To be made fun of that I'm a Democrat. I'm like, why does that matter? Like, why?
Yeah,
That's
I had a hard time appreciating 4th of July when I was called a Democrat by the President of the United States. Like I was
yeah,
put down by the President of the United States. We were supporting freedom, and he supported freedom by making fun of me
yeah.
because I
It's
vote
sad. It's
differently than
absolutely
him.
disgusting. Yeah. Like we
When
have
did,
to stop it.
yeah.
We
And
have to.
the only way to do that is to show up at the polls and to make our voices heard. And we make
We
our
have to vote.
voices heard at the ballot box. And here's an even more important thing: the amount of people that show up to the primaries are going to open their eyes. We need people to go out to their primaries because they need to see how invested people are, how
Yeah.
tired people are, and how bad people really want change. I know I want change. I want the Florida I was born into. I was born on Naval Air Station Jacksonville in 1976. My father was a drill sergeant at Orlando Naval Training Center up until the 80s.
Okay.
I am a product of Florida. I am a product of a military family. My father retired as a Master Chief Petty Officer before he died, E9 in the Navy. I married a man in the Air Force. I just want my state to represent the values that it did back in 1976 almost, because
Yeah.
I feel like there was more freedom then. And I got to tell you, I graduated from Lyman High School in 1994. I'm telling you, I'm a Floridian.
Yeah.
And
There's not many of us.
no, there's not. So I'm a Floridian. I graduated from Lyman High School. I got married in Altamont Springs. I can talk to you all about it as well. Like I've seen the progression. And I just want to go
Mhm.
back to the place where I can go across the street and talk to my neighbor Sue, and I don't care who she voted for.
Yeah.
I just don't. I don't want to do that. But living in the state that I do, living in the county that I do, we were in the car and somebody came up next to us and said, "Hey, are you guys from around here?" And we said, "Yeah," because we were very confused. And he said, "Get out of here. You don't belong here." Apparently, he didn't like our equality stuff on the back of our car. But somebody literally came up to us at a light and started yelling at us to get the hell out of here. We don't belong here. I was born in this effing state, mother effer. I effing belong here, you
Yeah.
mother effer. And I'm being very good not to say the
And
effer
most
part.
likely they moved here.
Exactly. So, once again, like Eric's saying, like I'm saying, Florida used to be purple. And that's what we need to do. And what purple means is everybody should be able to have the basic rights, and we should all be able to live towards that American dream. Whether you vote Republican, whether you vote Democrat, whether you vote independent, we shouldn't be voting to try to hurt other people. And it feels when some people are going to the polls, there is a vindictiveness that is attached to it. And I'm going to ask people to look in the mirror before you select your candidate. After you go on their platform, you look at their platform, you look in the mirror at yourself and say, do you agree with all their platform decisions? And if you're like, well, no, then decide which ones don't you agree with. Is it just like you don't agree with how the tax money spent, or do you not, or do they believe that LGBTQIA plus people shouldn't have the same rights as you?
Right.
If that's what they believe and you're going to vote for that person, you have to understand you're saying that that's what you align with as well.
Right.
Because
I
at
mean,
the
at the end
end
of
of the
the
day,
day,
tax issues should be the last thing we're worried about when people aren't getting human rights.
it's basic human rights. Like, can we agree? And that's usually my starter, especially if someone that's we're not aligned in a lot of ways. It's like, can we agree on basic human rights? What does that look like for you? Let's talk about that, and then let's move on from there. Because that, at the end of the day, when it comes to our communities here, our communities overseas, what we're doing, like basic human rights is the starting point. It's no longer left versus right, red, blue. It's top versus bottom. I would say
Yes.
that's our society is like working right
Yes.
now. And that's something we have to make sure that we're fighting up against.
We flip
But
on its
this whole
head.
left and right thing has to go away. And it's like, let's get to basic human rights, what we agree on, and go. Like
Yeah.
that should be our decision factor.
That should be 100%.
It should
And I want to thank you, Eric, for chatting with me today and talking about what really matters here in Florida, because it does. And as a
it does.
Floridian myself, being born here, being raised here, raising my children here, and now I have a grandson who's here. I want the state to be a state that my grandson can be proud of. I want him to be able to go to school and have education taught that follows science and history. And I want him to be prepared to be a well rounded adult when he gets older that is a
Yes.
contributing member to society. And we only do that by making sure that each person gets to have the same
Correct.
opportunities, and not saying that everybody should be given $1 million check, but
Well,
everybody should be
it's
able
all
to have
saying
access to health care, food,
yes.
water. This is what we're talking about. This is basic compassion, just basic human. Like that is what we're talking about. We'll worry about tax brackets later, but we need to get back to the fundamentals. And the fundamentals is everybody matters. You matter. You matter. I matter. Eric matters. My trans daughter Ruth matters just as much as my non trans daughter Kaylee. It's just the way it
Yes.
is. And
We're
I wish
all
for,
humans.
yes. And I wish for everyone out there to really, really take a look in the mirror go look up your local candidates. It's important. Who is in your local offices matter. Who is representing you at a state level matters. Who do you want to send to Congress? Who do you want to send? Who should we have in the House, in the Senate? I mean, these things matter because that's who represents us. These are the people that when we look on the screen, do we want to see somebody voting for people that aren't there, that is not upholding the rule of law and voting? No, we don't. And that's what Randy Fine is. He's done it. He showed who he is, point blank, end of story. And he's not sorry about it.
Yeah. No, he stands firm behind all of it. Let him.
Morals matter. So let's stop worrying about an R or a D. Let's worry about the M. Let's worry about morality. At the end of the day, that's really what matters, is morality.
Yeah.
So until next time, everyone, don't forget to live your life out loud. Thank you, guys.